Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me here this evening at 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast. Not late from my lateness, so not too shabby, I guess, in general. But boy, there were many things I wanted to talk about today, and I almost did, which made some of you angry. I almost did a Tuesdays with Kathy, and some of you like my Tuesdays with Kathy. Some of you don't. And I just had one last week. So you know what? Let me not rush, because boy, does she just keeps. The two people just keep giving me content like there's no tomorrow. Kathy Hochul and Donald Trump, their battles are just great for me. I can't complain. I mean, it's just amazing. And what's so funny, we talked about this last week, was that for some reason, the Democrats have fooled Kathy into being the one that Trump is fighting now. Like she said, I'll do it. I don't know why she isn't that bright and she thinks that she's great. So of course she would. It actually does make sense. I mean, it's as silly as it sounds. She believes that. So that's why she would do it. Others, like I don't see Gavin Newsom fighting a fight. I don't see Pritzker fighting a fight. I don't see any of them fighting a fight. They don't want to. They got smart. They're like, I don't think I want to fight her. But here's my worry for Kathy Hochul. If you happen to be a Democrat watching and you happen to think Kathy Hochul's awesome, good for you. I would disagree with you, but welcome if you're here. She does have a problem. What do you mean, Larry? Well, the problem she's going to have is I don't see the Kingslayer out. Who's the Kingslayer? The Kingslayer is Kathy Hochul's AG, Letitia James. She's supposed to be fighting. Now, maybe she is, and maybe it's behind the scenes. I don't see it. I don't want to say it's not happening. It might be happening behind the scenes. What I would say is publicly, nothing's happening. That is not a positive thing, right? That is not good for Kathy Hochul. She definitely needs, if she's going to get someplace, she needs her Kingslayer going, and they are not. So I don't know what happened there. What are you going to do? What I want to talk about today, though, is what Trump is doing again. And it made me think about what was happening. I saw a segment on Breaking Points about this where Crystal and Saga were fighting again. And another person in the media who's been giving me a lot of content is Crystal. Crystal is, since about, 30 days, 60 days after the election, Crystal is just mad and does not want to accept life. She doesn't want to accept what's happening. Somehow things are not good for her, and she is mad and has no answers, and it is showing, right? It is absolutely showing, right? So I did want to cover that piece of it. Before I go there, though, as always, if you care, and I know you do because you're watching and or listening, click the you-know-what, the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Please click that button. It does matter. Every time you click it, people, Mr. Rhythm, algorithm, immediately pops on and says, hey, let me share this to other people, let other people see it. If you yourself can share it, please share it or repost it. It does matter. If you have not subscribed to me on Facebook, X, and Rumble, please do so. And when you do subscribe on YouTube, make sure you click all notifications. It really does matter. You can super chat me, it goes right to the front if you're on YouTube, or rant me if you're on Rumble. All of those do work. But no matter what, click that button known as like. This is a bit of a back and forth that went between Sagar and Crystal. And I thought it was important because it showed kind of how they're thinking. They were just talking about Trump and the mineral deal that he's been fighting on. People were yelling about his mineral. Remember them yelling about Trump's mineral deal? Let me cover that real fast before we go there. Trump was talking about a mineral deal that America's going to get the money paid back, right? Remember that whole concept? And people were like, that sounds dumb. It's not fair. But if you remember, I did tell you this literally months ago. I said, the war in Ukraine is massive grift. So much money involved. You cannot just solve it. That's not how it works. There is so much money involved. You have to find an answer. My answer, remember what I was saying, is give the military industrial complex monopolies in new markets for a short period of time so they can still make their money and they don't want to put you in a box. That was mine. Trump's team got together and realized, damn, Larry Sharpe was right. I mean, they didn't say that. They should have. But they're like, damn, this is harder than we thought. What are we going to do? And their answer wasn't giving out monopolies. Their answer was mineral deals. Supposedly, it originally was $500 billion, something like that. It's not going to be that much, but it doesn't matter. This goes back to his negotiating. He negotiates $500 billion. What will it be? Who knows? But it will be enough that now he can actually end this war. And you might say, Larry, it's terrible. He is saying bad things. And Sagar brings this up, and so does Crystal. But the thing to remember is, this is the way to end the war. And you have to ask yourself this important question. And it does matter. You have to think about this. Does it matter more that he ends the war, or does it matter more that he insults people or make sure someone's on the right side of history, whatever the case may be, right? Fahim, thank you so much for the 99, my friend. Thank you so much for supporting the show. I appreciate what you do so much, tremendously. I know you do it often. Thank you. So let me, if I could. All right. Fahim asks, hi, Larry, do you do consultations for startup businesses? If so, how do I contact you and the price? I'm happy to have that conversation. Is what I do for a living. Absolutely. The best way probably is to reach out to me via Twitter if you're on Twitter. But you can also, if you want to, you can also email me at ls at, is that the right email address? Just do Twitter. It's fine. It's easy. Just DM me there. All my social media is monitored by a team. So just do Twitter or something like that, whatever the case may be. It'll be monitored. They'll let me know, hey, someone's reaching out, and then I'll reach out to you directly. It's just, that's the easiest way. So yeah. So thank you for that. Now that that's out of the way, let me actually show you what I was talking about. All right. This is saga going on.
Description of the quote-unquote minerals agreement, but all of this is all coming back to big war between the Europeans and between Donald Trump in terms of wanting to sign this peace deal with Russia over Ukraine. The Ukraine minerals agreement is kind of secondary to the overall peace deal. The big peace deal is basically negotiations with the Russians, which is currently Secretary of State and the Secretary of State and Steve Witkoff have been engaged in.
Now, this is making people unhappy, by the way. They don't want negotiations that aren't with Ukraine. You can see Crystal's mad about that.
To return what it appears to be is to the Istanbul framework of April of 2022. So it is interesting because obviously the Europeans are freaking out about that. They do not want to be on the hook for their 30,000 peacekeepers. They're saying, even if we...
So there's another issue that you're having. The Europeans, while they are pushing off, they're trying to, in theory, become more independent. The Germans have even said it. Remember, the conservatives won the election, not the far right. The conservatives won the election in Germany. They want to be more, in theory, more independent of America. Not a bad thing, right? Not at all, but not easy to do. Not easy to do. Because they don't want to have this war and then have European troops have to go there and pay to be some kind of peacekeeping force.
Did that, America, you guys still have to pay for it. All of the intelligence, and there's a big war and a feeling of abandonment on the continent. It fits very well with the Germany story that we did yesterday. The new chancellor of Germany saying that we will have to try and have independence from the United States, which is the logical endpoint of a lot of geopolitical forces over the last decades.
But the problem is it's very hard. Mastermind Hour says, I stopped watching Sagar show after he got his Jerry Lewis teeth. Look, the guy's making some cash, wants to have nice teeth. Good for him. Not mad at him for that. Good for him, trying to look good. Keeps his hair cut tight all the time. No shame on that. But I often don't agree with Sagar, to be very forward with you. In this case, he's right, but the bar is very low here. In the past, and I would say 6 months ago even, 6 months ago, I would look at what Krista would say, and she would have savvy, smart answers. Whether you agree with her or not, they'd be savvy, smart answers. Now her answer is just, but Trump is bad and mean and things are wrong. That's like her entire thing now. So for Sarah to beat her up on that, not a high bar to get over, my friend. I mean, pretty easy to get over that bar. You'll see what I mean in a second.
I mean, it also goes with that. Like some of the numbers and stuff, he just completely makes up. The 350 billion number, the comparison with Europe. Macron actually jumps in. I think we have that.
Yeah, we have that.
And it's like, let's go ahead and play. Like, he actually jumps in. He's like, well.
Yeah, see, this is my point. Trump doesn't care. And that is a good and a bad thing, right? I wish he cared more. I wish he paid attention to details more. He doesn't. He never has, and he still doesn't. He just says stuff off and off the cuff and just keeps going on. Now, this is my question. Is that going to work? So far, yes. Right? So far, yes. Can it last? That is my worry. And can it work with someone who, whatever you might think about Putin, and I know many people do not like him at all, not talking about his character as being a good person like that. He's no dummy. Putin is savvy and smart, a former KGB agent. Does he just see through this? Do his people just see through this? Does it not work, right, with him? And I don't know, right? I feel like it could. Or does he not care? And does Putin just go, fine, if it works for me, that's fine. That's fine, whatever. It just works that way. It could be that. But I think let's go on with this.
It wasn't all just loans. Like some of that was hard money as well. Let's take a listen to that moment.
Will France support the U.S. being compensated?
I support the idea to have Ukraine first being compensated because they are the one to have lose a lot of their fellow citizens and being destroyed by these attacks. Second, all of those who paid for could be compensated, but not by Ukraine, by Russia, because they were the one to aggress.
Now, Trump doesn't like that. You can see he doesn't like that. But the French prime minister has to say what he has to say and probably believes it. He probably does believe that, right? That you have to make sure Russia pays for this war. If you remember, I told you guys this months ago. The first thing that Putin said when it came to ending this war was he wanted reparations. Do you remember that? And people thought, that's crazy. And I said, that's not crazy. That's Putin doing what Trump does, saying, you got to pay me to end this war, right? Now, so of course, Macron has said the opposite. No, Trump's got to pay. That's where that negotiation is hitting right now, right? Putin's literally doing it. Trump did it months ago. If you remember, he said it like with the fall. He was like, yeah, I'll end the war, but you gotta pay Russia reparations. Everybody's like, what? Is that crazy? No, he did it on purpose.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provide.
Now, to be forward, is Macron correct or is Trump correct? Macron is correct. Trump is not correct. Trump doesn't care. And that's my point. Trump's like, yeah, well, whatever. I guess 50%, 60%, whatever. Some loans, some this. Trump doesn't care. And again, bad in that people like Crystal can attack him on him not knowing the details, which is an accurate attack. But my question again becomes, if in the long run, this creates peace, do we care? And I'm serious. Do we care whether Trump knows the details or even cares about them or not if it creates peace? Now you might go, but Larry, this is the wrong way of doing it. Agreed. No doubt. But I would ask you, if you care about peace, if you do, some of you don't, but if you do you think Harris was going to make a peace? Do you think Biden was going to make a peace? They didn't get anywhere near this. They just wanted to keep writing checks, fight down to the last Ukrainian. And you might think Ukraine's awesome and you want them to win. Okay, but are they going to? And if you remember 2 years ago, those of you who've been with me for this long, I was very forward. I said on Dylan Burns' show, it's about 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago, I said on the show, maybe it was 2 years ago, I said, this war is worthless because in the end, what's going to happen, I predicted it 2 years ago, Ukraine is not going to win. They can't. America will abandon them. We're about to. It's right here happening in front of us, right? We're going to abandon them. And Russia's going to get at least 3 out of the 4 things they want, if not all 4. And then war's going to end. That's how it's going to end. Now we can do that now, or we can wait till hundreds of thousands of more Russian Ukrainians died. And we chose to wait for hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians to die. That was our choice. We could have just ended it, but we didn't. So I don't know. Yeah. Phil says Biden was going to make a piece of the action. What a piece of the action over here. Exactly correct. Yes, that was going to happen. Yes. So, all right.
Real money, to be clear. We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral.
Now he's talking about taking Russian assets. I'm gonna go past that piece. He's talking about taking Russian assets and such, and that's all. It's fine. But now let me go with what Crystal's going to say.
You know, that's only fair.
Very weird interpersonal dynamics between these two as well. Very like touchy, a lot of sort of like alpha male positioning and jockeying there, whatever.
See, this is the part that you see again that Crystal has become that she was not before. In her anger, maybe her disappointment, I don't know. She's now just like so many of the Democrats. She's become dismissive and insulting and just virtue signaling. She wasn't that bad before. Now it's what she is here. Oh, it's just, big dog stuff. It's male stuff. She just now all of a sudden she's a misandrist all of a sudden. It's, alpha male stuff, dumb man
right.
stuff.
I mean, I have a lot of feelings about this. And number one, I just want the war to end. The fact that we are going back to a framework that was originally negotiated in the very early days of this war. And frankly, I think Ukraine would be very fortunate. We would be very fortunate.
They would be lucky
if they're able to achieve, that agreement that was on the table at that point. Because if you'll recall, and of course we discussed this ad nauseum here on the show, at that point, Ukraine really did have Russia on the back foot. They really had outperformed.
I remember there was a point. There was a point. She's correct. There was a point in which it looked like Ukrainians were actually winning the war. There was a point, and at that point, that was the perfect time to end the war and to make a peace. And the Biden administration did not, and the Europeans did not. That was the time. That's true. She's correct. There was a time when that could have worked. Yes.
Really was this coalescing of the US and Europe and all these forces behind them. We had just put on this massive amount of sanctions, the biggest sanction regime in history. It was very uncertain how that was going to go for Russia, et cetera. So the dynamics were a lot more in Ukraine's favor at this point. And so when you think about going back to, it's just heartbreaking, the number of lives that have been lost, the death and destruction, all because, and this is the part where I get to the way Trump frames this is just wrong and a lie, all because the U.S. wanted to.
Okay, here's the problem. Here is the problem I have with this entire rant. What was her answer? Was her answer support Jill Stein? Was her answer support Marianne Williamson? Was her answer, support Cornel West? Was her answer support RFK Jr., who wanted to end the war in Ukraine? All those people wanted to end the war in Ukraine. And I know she doesn't trust Trump. Trump said it, but she doesn't trust him. I get it. She doesn't trust him. But all the other people I mentioned were all Democrats, right? Before RFK went independent. RFK went into war in Ukraine. RFK Jr., I'm sorry. So did Marianne Williamson. So did Cornel West, right? They did. So did Jill Stein. Did she support any of them? And then when RFK Jr. became independent, she also became an independent. Jill Stein was running until the last day, last minute. Was she supporting her? No, her answer was vote Harris. Her answer was fall back to the Democratic Party. So in my view, Ms. Ball, you don't get to act all sanctimonious when your answer was support the establishment. Not just that, support the ones who were never going to end it. Never. You may hate how Trump's doing it, and I agree. It's not the best way of doing it. It's true. I'm not going to sit here and act like Trump's doing it great. But again, I got to take what I can get. I have basically three options. Options one, fight back, try to stop him doing this because he doesn't do it the right way. That's option one. Option two, let him do it. Or option three, just give up. I'm going to go with let him do it whatever way. I may say a couple things, but it's fine. It's fine. Just let him end it.
To use Ukraine as a proxy in this fight against Russia. That's why that peace deal wasn't pursued. And so, like I said, complicated feel. On the one hand, if he's moving towards ending the war, great. I'm on board with that.
No, you're not. Then why are you complaining? No, you're not. Because you don't want anything that he does to be correct. That's the problem. You don't want anything that he's doing to be correct.
let's do it. On the other hand, like saying that it's Ukraine's fault that the war started, saying we should be reimbursed. No, we're the reason why we pushed them to have.
So now she goes right into what I was talking about. She goes now into immediately, she goes into virtual signaling. You have to say why. Why? Why? To be righteous? To virtual signal? Who cares? Who cares? And if you notice, again, this body language she has, she's no longer looking at Saga anymore. She's got to give him side eye. Saga's looking right at her. He's been doing this for literally days. This has been happening. Looking right at her. And she's got giving him the side eye, the constant side eye, because she's really upset. She's mad that he's not upset about this. And my point is, why would you say it's all Russia's fault? Then negotiate with Russia. You're negotiating with Russia. Why would I want to insult them? I want to negotiate with you. Hey, Rick, I want to negotiate with you. By the way, you're a jerk. I hate you. Can we negotiate now? Yeah. Rick is going to say, Larry, you know what? Have a nice day. You're a jerk too. And not going to want to hang out with me at all. I get it.
This massive war and devastate their population, devastate the country, etc. And, you know, of course, I'm also disgusted with just like the naked return to colonialism and imperialism, where it's like, you know, we're going to just make.
Oh, now you're a far lefty. Now you're a far lefty. I don't like colonialism and imperialism. Now you're a far lefty. When Marianne Williamson was saying that last year, you didn't have nothing to say. Right? When Jill Stein was saying that last year, you had nothing to say. You were like, Harris, vote Harris. You were that.
Make you a, a client state and extract whatever resources we can out.
Look the difference. Look right now at this picture. Sagar looking at her like, you can't be saying you're not real, are you? And look at her like looking side eye, like, yeah.
Out of you. And I don't know if you saw this. But
why is that bad?
Russia came in and was like, oh, we have rare earth minerals too. Yeah. Like maybe, let's cut a deal. And I'll tell you.
And look, Sagar's like, yeah, yes. Yes. Of course why do you, okay. This is so funny. It's, if anyone has a crystal ball, it's me. I'm the one who told you guys that Putin was talking about reparations, right? Remember that? And I said he didn't really want reparations. That was posturing. It's posturing in a deal because a bunch of the rare earth minerals that Ukraine has is now in currently Russian territory. So he would like to make a deal too. That's his reparations. So he will get a deal. America will get a deal. America's deal will get the military-industrial complex to be satisfied so they won't keep this war going. And now Trump can stop it. Russia will get a deal so he can tell his people, see, look at the reparations I got. We got a deal and the war will end. This is not rocket science, Crystal. Your virtual signaling is not helpful.
Why it's bad is because I believe that these countries should actually have sovereignty. I do actually think that the post-World War II order in which the norm generally followed around the world. In
the post-World War II norm, which gave us Korea, Vietnam, a Cold War, the worry of nuclear power, that's what she wants to go to. Now, all of a sudden, she likes that system. Now she likes that system.
Which countries, small countries, are left alone. And where
yeah, small countries are left alone, like Vietnam. Oh wait, like Korea. Oh wait, now, yeah, no, they're not. Like Grenada. Oh no, wait, like Panama. Oh no, wait, like yeah, no, like all the El Salvador. You're like no, they're not left alone. That's a fantasy you made up in your head. That's a fantasy made up in your head. I'm looking over at Rumble. Straight and says, if there's a pile of money to be made in Ukraine, America won't abandon that potential money. Correct, Straight N. And I know that sounds terrible. I know it does. I'm being realistic here. I would like hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians and Russians to not die. That is what I would like. I would like us not to eventually get stuck in some stupid war in that we're going. I'd like us to not do that. That's what I would like. Yeah.
It is, a breach of international law and, something to be guarded against when you have.
Do you remember I talked to you about international law? This is probably a month ago. And I was saying there's no such thing as an illegal war. There's no such thing as this because all that matters is who will enforce it. That's what matters. Who will enforce it? There's no magical UN judge that goes, now, Russia, you have to leave Ukraine. That doesn't matter. Did the UN force us to leave Vietnam? No, we left when we were ready to leave. Who enforced it? Was Vietnam an illegal war? How about the invasion of Panama in 89? How about the invasion of Grenada? How about that? Was that illegal war? Who's going to enforce it? How about Afghanistan? Iraq? How about when Russia invaded Afghanistan? They left when they were ready to leave. Russia invading Georgia. How about that? How about the Turks invading Syria? How about the Israelis invading Syria, invading Gaza? Who is going to enforce it? That's the issue. This is something she made up. And I hear this often. Anyone whose establishment thinks this, well, it's against the law. Okay, who's going to enforce that law? Who's going to go and throw the Russians out of Ukraine? I'll give you the answer. Nobody. Nobody.
Large countries that are just taking advantage of small countries. Like, that's why I think that is a bad direction to go in. But the other thing is that is really unclear to me.
No, she won't even look at them.
Is, okay, if we strike this like raw earth minerals and their ports and their, oil and gas resources, this across the board 50%, we're basically taking over your state deal. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't get us less entangled in that region. That gets us more entangled in that region. So I still have a lot of questions about how this is all going to
Well, see, this is where I just totally depart from this like kind of liberal fantasy view of the world. Like, not to go all Howard Zinn, but the idea that the post-World War II order has protected small countries is ridiculous. I mean, if you look, I would borrow some leftist commentary. Take a look at tiny little countries in South America and how independent they've been over the last
you're right about
75 years.
So she says, no, you're right about that. Yes. So what she just said is all garbage. She's just mad.
It's ludicrous. It's all just complete bullshit. And so why should
this is my issue. Sorry to
She has to interrupt. She just gave a long thing. Now she has to interrupt because I have to virtue signal
to cut you off. Like, this is to me the sort of core ethos of the Trump administration 2.0, not just with regard to foreign affairs.
Don't forget what she's actually fallen into. The Trump ethos, Trump 2.0. Never forget. And Mike Voss, I know you're watching. Just want to make sure you never forget. Orange man bad. Never forget that. You might think it's done. It's not. Let's be clear. It's never done.
Affairs, but with regard to domestic affairs too. It's like, okay, well, things are bad and like we've been hypocritical. So instead of trying to improve those international laws, try instead of
okay, haven't we had decades to improve what you just said and we did nothing? Didn't we have decades to fix and we did nothing? We've been letting it fall apart for decades. Now someone said, you're like, no, don't change it. Well, what were you doing for the last 30, 40, 50 years?
Of trying to actually act as, moral actors in the world and respect territorial sovereignty, have additional cooperation, et cetera. Instead, it's like, well, things have been bad and we've been hypocritical, so let's just make it worse.
No.
And it's the same thing with regard to
it's not make it worse. It's break the system that hasn't worked.
the government here. It's like, well, government has failed you, so let's just strip it down and make it so it can't even deliver your Social Security, Medicare, and
yes, you've had decades to fix the government, and you don't. All you do is keep taking more. And the problem is, what has bothered me about this is, and there is a smugness that now Sagar has, which I don't like, but this is a smugness that Crystal has, which is, we have to do she basically she's establishment hack now. And she wasn't before, but she's establishment hack now. When do you become an establishment hack? When you're set. She's set. She's not, doesn't worry about paying her bills. She doesn't have to worry. She married a guy who's got cash. She's got cash. They're both doing fine. Her kids aren't in any chance not going to go to whatever college they want to go to. She can pay her bills. She can go on vacation when she wants to. She's got no boss. Life's good for her. So, of course, she can sit here being privileged. Yes, I just called a white woman privileged. I know I did, but she's privileged. I just called her privileged. She's privileged. So what is she doing? Talking about how we have to worry about what about the literal millions of Americans who've lost their children to the state, millions of Americans who've lost their children to a vindictive spouse, The millions of Americans who are getting laid off, both government and private sector, like there's no tomorrow. Like there's no tomorrow. The millions of Americans who, if they have 1 or 2 months of no income, will be so financially burdened they may never recover. How about those? Do you think they care about your law and order concept or all those things you're talking about? No. Your moral leadership in the world? What a bunch of horseshit. You think they care? New York State has the worst wealth gap in the entire country. And you want me to care about whether we're a moral leader in the world? How about stop giving Ukraine hundreds of billions of dollars and help out some people here? How about that? Phil says her ex-husband left her with $10 million. Bingo. She's fine. She's good. And look, I'm not mad at her for it. Look, if you make tons of money, good for you. I hope everyone listening gets $10 million from their ex. That'd be amazing. Or their current, whichever. I hope you all get $10 million. It'd be great. By the way, if you get $10 million, become a member. It's $4.89. You can afford it when you get $10 million. So I hope you all get $10 million, right? That'd be amazing. I'm not mad at you for that. I'm mad if you get your $10 million and then act all smug and forget where you came from and act like everybody else. You just worry about big concepts and big deals when you now can pay your bills when previously you couldn't. I do hope you all get $10 million. And if you do me a favor. Go on YouTube, become a member, click join. Join so I can spend more time doing this and I won't be late like a half hour like I was today. I won't be late. I won't have to work so much. I could instead spend more time doing this. So yes, but no matter what, $10 million or not, you can click the like button. Yes, you can. You can do that without the $10 million bucks. You can still click the like button. So do it.
Things that it actually does well. So yeah, I reject this return to just naked colonialism and imperialism. And there are a lot of ways that you can do. There are multiple ways you can do a multipolar world.
Then why didn't Biden do it? Why didn't Trump do it the first time? He had all the swamp creatures around him. He didn't do it the first time either. Why didn't Obama do it? He had 8 years to do it. If that's true, why didn't people do it? They didn't. Absolute garbage. This is just more cope. This is more cope. This is absolutely more people. This is more cope and this is more virtue signaling because she doesn't have an answer. She has no answer. We just be better. Oh, just be better. So yes, terrible. Garrett, thank you, my friend. Garrett, stepping in. 5 Sharpe Way memberships. Guys, grab it. If you have $10 million, do not take Garrett's membership, okay? If you have $10 million. If you don't have $10 million, please feel free to grab one of Garrett's memberships, okay? But if you've got $10 million, don't do it. That's greedy now. So don't be greedy. Garrett's being good. Garrett, again, gets another one. He gets a 6 total. Guys, jump on board. I appreciate it if you can. Garrett, thank you again. Coming in hot like you always do, my friend. I appreciate the support tremendously. I appreciate it tremendously. So, yes. All right. IC says, if I get 10 million, I become a member on all your platforms. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. There we go. So if you get 10 million, I would expect you to become a member on all of them. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go further. If any of you get $10 million this week, if you do, I hope you all do, please become a member on all of them. All right. Is that fair? If you all get $10 million, I don't think you're going to get $10 million, but I do hope so. That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Let's hope so. All right. Let me keep going.
One of which is to actually have respect for smaller countries around the world, actually to respect territory.
Now, she interrupted him, and what did she say? Nothing. She just kept virtue signaling.
Integrity, actually to move in the direction of cooperation with large powers. And when Trump says things about like, hey, let's cut the military 50% and strike a deal with Russia and China, that would be a move in that direction. There is no way in hell that I think that is actually what's going to play out here whatsoever. Instead, I think we're headed much more towards.
He's trying to say something. He's like, and she just keeps virtue signaling.
Like a new imperialism, a new naked, like just we're going to take Greenland, we're going to take Panama, we're going to take Canada, we're going to bomb Mexico, we're going to take.
Okay, we didn't take Greenland. This is my point. She doesn't like his vibes. And I'm going to be honest. I often don't either. She has a valid point. Trump's vibes are often nasty vibes. She's right. I don't like them. I don't like those vibes. I'm with her on that. My question, though, is twofold with this. 2 parts. Number one, when you had the cool, super cool Obama vibes, which his vibes were amazing. He was super cool, right? Super cool Obama. You had great vibes then. Why didn't you fix this back then? When you had Uncle Joe, who was the cool guy, going to take Trump out back and beat him because he loves everybody, right? Remember? Why didn't you do it then? Didn't happen. Didn't happen. So yes, his vibe is off, right? He's going to invade Canada. He didn't. He got a deal. He's going to invade Greenland. He didn't. He got a deal. He's going to invade Panama. He didn't. He got a deal. This is my point. She doesn't like his vibe. Admittedly, I don't like the vibe either. But if it's working, should we just shut up and let it go? And what I would say is, I think for most Americans, they're just shutting up and letting it go. I think what they're shutting up. I'm going to grab Vivek real fast. He says, I think for the most part, even though he says out of the box things, he gets deals done. My point exactly. Abraham Accords, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, did something that every president avoided. He goes on to say, and now got concessions from Mexico and Canada, getting something valuable from Ukraine. His policy tactics, I think he means political tactics, were needed, and negotiating tactics. And the status quo from Democrats, Republicans was not cutting it. Valid point. That is my point. Valid point. Right? What was happening before was doing nothing. And Crystal's mad at that. And which is what Crystal should be saying. And she's not. And look, you might go, Larry, you're being, you're do you attack libertarians this way? You're libertarian. All the time. All the time. I take responsibility for our errors. In fact, Mike gets mad at me because I get triggered and I walk down libertarian stuff and I get all triggered and angry as I scold us libertarians for the horrible things, that ways we've done stuff and we failed. Yes, we are responsible for our failures. And I say it probably too much. Mike's mad. I hope he said anything. He's probably yelling at me right now. So yes, of course. Well, Crystal, what you should be saying is, I'm a lefty, I'm a Democrat. We screwed up. We had 8 years of super cool Obama. We didn't do a damn thing. We had 4 years of Biden. We threw that in the garbage. We had a chance with Harris, and she had no answer for nothing and changed nothing. She had a terrible campaign. We did nothing. We have failed as Democrats. We got to fix things. You know who is saying that? James Carville. James Carville saying, we screwed this up. We got to fix this. Now, she isn't, though. She's still virtue signaling. And the worst part is, she spoke better about this last year. She was speaking more intelligently with more facts. This loss has affected her. She has fallen in to what people were last year and what most of the Democrats are now. The James Carvilles aren't. They're taking responsibility. Like, no, we got to change stuff. We screwed up. We got to fix it. Not here.
Take Gaza, et cetera, and an increase in militarism and defense spending, very much in line with the Cold War hostilities with the Soviet Union.
But this is the thing. We don't have a choice. And all countries in the international system will do what's in their best interest. It's just, again, like a literal liberal fantasy of the 1960s.
She doesn't look at that. She's so smug. Look at her. She can't stand the fact that he's just saying, you live in a fantasy world. You live in a fantasy world.
We could create some grand peace architecture when the United States and the great powers will always rule the world. We're going to get to this, to the United Nations.
Sure and
just, again, to show you, there's no such thing as international law. There is no such thing as a UN General Assembly.
Yes, none of that shit matters. None of it does. It never has. It's not a thing. The question is, who will enforce it? I know I've told you this. You guys don't like it. This is how the world works. Might makes right. That sucks. It does suck. It's unfair. It's terrible and true. That's how it works. So who's going to enforce it? No one is. That's the reality. And he's saying that. He says America and the great powers will always rule the world. I'm not sure that's always true. Look, I hope America always rules the world, but it may not be true. But the great powers, whoever those great powers are, will always rule the world. Why? They have financial and military power to do so. That's how it's always been and will always be.
No one gives a shit what Montenegro thinks, nor should we. All the international system of all time, multipolarity, bipolarity, unipolarity, has always come down to the say of the great powers. It is built into the United Nations that the P5 powers have absolute authority to veto anything. It's actually implicit in the international system that the great victors of World War II will decide the new fate.
And he's right. I don't like how he says it either. His vibe is terrible also. Like, you don't got to be dissing Montenegro for no reason, right? It's a small country. I get it, but you don't got to diss Montenegro. Doesn't make him wrong. He's still correct. But again, I can recognize, and we all should, you can recognize when you don't like the vibes. It doesn't make it wrong, right? Your emotional response to something, you can acknowledge that you don't like it. You have an emotional response and it's negative. Okay, I get it. You have your background, what you feel, your emotional response is negative. It doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it feel crappy.
And this idea also that we shouldn't have Ukraine pay us back. I mean, again, you're not wrong.
Pay us back. It's our fault.
Well,
like, we should be paying them, to be honest with you, with the death and destruction.
All right.
Wow, now she's become an America hater. She went down that road. So he's giving her logic, right? He's like, here's a logic. And she's like, I'm going to virtue signal harder. America's terrible.
We led them into.
Well, again, that's just, in my opinion, kind of a ridiculous notion. If you are...
He is dissing her. He called it fantasy ridiculous. Okay, this is getting like some old Brianna Joy Gray, Robbie Sauvé energy.
Going to expend $100 billion plus into building this country and ensuring its territorial integrity. The idea that we should not reap the rewards and the benefits of it is insane.
But
go back to the Marshall. No, because this is the architecture of the post-World War II era. The Marshall Plan.
Who created these tensions?
Wow, he said no, and she won't stop. And she won't. He's like, no, let me keep talking. And she just talked over him again. She has to keep jumping on because she has to virtue signal harder. That
led to NATO's expansion, that pushed, this direction for Ukraine.
Okay, NATO expansion began, if you remember, under Bill Clinton. Remember that? Bill Clinton. Yes, that's where it began, under Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton had 8 years, and he was the slickest of the slick and was popular. If anybody could have fixed it, it would have been Bill Clinton. If somebody could have fixed it back in the 90s, he could have done it. He didn't. He was still trying to put the PLO together with Yasser Arafat and I forgot the Israel leader at the time. He put those two together. That was nice. Thank you, Bill. That was nice. Good job. Why didn't you stop NATO growth? You didn't. And then Bush came on board. Did he stop NATO growth? He didn't either. No. And then Obama had 8 years. Did he stop NATO growth? No. Then Trump, did he stop? I don't know. He might have. Did we have any new one Trump? I don't know. Biden, he didn't. Biden might have stopped. I don't know. Did we have any new ones? I think no. Biden wanted to have Ukraine in. So yes. So the only guy who stopped it was actually Trump. I actually forgot. Did Trump actually was probably the only one who stopped it? Yes. That was it. He's the only one. He's almost stopped it. But hers is, oh, see, it's NATO and it's because of us. No. It's because of all the presidents since Bill Clinton. The only guy who's talking about ending NATO, stopping NATO, the only one who's about leaving NATO and stopping this is Trump. Now, I hate saying that, but I got to give credit where credit is due. So I got to give him credit for this one. That's all I could say.
We've used them as our toy,
yes,
as our proxy.
But they also
know that.
Yeah, of course, but that's also what they want, right? Zelensky is a willing participant in this.
Paid back when we're a key component. Not that Zelensky doesn't have an agency, whatever, but we are
That's whatever. I have to virtue signal. I have to say that we're bad. Trump is bad. I have to say that. This is crazy. Let me grab a couple comments before we keep going here. All right, let me see here if I can go here. Mike Voss is in the house. I hope you're paying attention. Ukraine is unimportant in negotiations, both due to leader and terms. Still, Ukraine must demand more or lose morale of the troops. Zell, feigning humility for peace, saves face and admits defeat. Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. I think I agree with all of it. Ukraine, a twist, I would say. Ukraine does matter ceremonially. How about that? So I think you're right. Negotiations matter, but ceremonially it does matter. I do think Zelensky had talked about already stepping down already, which I think we all knew was going to happen. I still think he's going to Florida, but there's now a rumor he may be going to the Middle East. But I think he's going to Florida still. So I think he's going to leave. Ukraine has to talk tough. You're right. Or the troops just walk away. If the Ukrainian troops stop fighting, that's the end. They've got to keep going. So that's true. I think you're right. I agree with that piece. He goes on to saying Putin fears Trump like in 2016. Not at all. That's just shit you Republicans make up. He's not afraid of him. It's not a thing. Plus, end allows rebuild until next week. President Trump gets rare earth needed for future. Brilliant. Ukraine can't say no as they can't pay debt. No for the both too. No, Putin does not fear Trump. That's just you Republicans all make that up. That's absolutely not true. And you don't care about next week president. Nothing you Republicans just make up. None of that's true. No, nobody outside who's doing what they want to do cares about president's weak or not. They don't care. It doesn't matter. We have nukes. And any president could nuke, except maybe Jimmy Carter. He probably wouldn't. But all the rest would nuke if they had to. So no, not a thing. That makes you feel good. Absolutely not true. The rare earth piece is a great idea. I think it is brilliant. I agree with you on that. I think if the Russians can also get a piece of that, also brilliant. I think you're right. Ukraine can't pay debt. Also true. Last one. Europe is jealous and embarrassed. 100% true. Trump on his plate. Yes. Motivating their higher NATO spending. Yes. Thus, America's on top without question. Position for the future provides more stability going forward. I think yes to all that. I don't know about stability. It depends on how happy and satisfied Russia and China are with this. If they're satisfied, I would agree. I think that's true. Yeah, and I do think Europe is jealous and embarrassed. You see it. They're trying to do something, right? They're trying. France is trying to get back into it. France has actually talked about this. I don't know if you are following this closely, Mike. France has talked about sending troops into Ukraine. They haven't yet, but they talked about it. Like France is trying to do something, right? They're trying to be. Well, we don't need America. We're tough guys, right? Germany said openly, like, we got to do something without America. Do something. So, yes, I do think you're right. That's a good point. So, all righty. Mike, give me like 4 in a row. He said 2 of 3. All right, last one. Trump has won on all levels without fighting, reducing risk and spending. Dems hate this, but can do nothing. Thus, media frames it as negative as possible to hide weakness of Biden and lack of leadership. Trump is not yet. I would say Trump is winning currently, which is why America is like, we're going to hang out. We're going to let him go because he's currently winning. I'm not sure, though. And here's where I'm not sure. Will there be peace in Ukraine this year? I think so. Don't know. He hasn't won yet. I think so. So he is winning. He hasn't won. Will he find an answer for Israel and Gaza? Looking like he will again. Not there yet, right? He's got a lot of balls in the air. You're saying he's won? No. I'm saying he's winning. It's looking good, but they all got to close. You know, I'm in sales. A lot of deals look good. They don't all close. Let's see if they close. So, yeah. Also, with all this cut in spending, people losing jobs. People losing jobs, private sector and public sector. How bad does it get before Americans decide, I don't like this guy anymore? I don't know. Right now, Americans are okay with it. How's it going to look 6 months from now? I don't know. I think you're counting your chickens before the hatch, Mike. You're counting your chickens. They haven't hatched yet. Again, looking good. If he actually fails on these things and has the bad vibes that Crystal can't stand, he's in trouble. You can have all the bad vibes you want and be successful. Americans will shut their mouths and be okay. But if you got all the bad vibes and then don't succeed, it's going to be a tough 2026 for Republicans. If that happens. Again, I don't know. At the moment, it does look good, right? It does look good. So for him, it does. That's absolutely true. All right. Well, Mike, you got more. All right. I can't give you the whole show, Mike. He goes on to say, Greenland meadows, tighter borders, Hamas back down, harassed about the hypernet, China silent, access created by Biden has been successfully broken, internationally where Trump has failed, or internationally where has Trump failed or even slipped? It hasn't closed yet. That's my point. It hasn't closed yet. It all sounds good. Syria is still a maybe. We don't know where Iran's going. right? And then you correct yourself with Houthi. Houthi still has cash. They still have cash. They're there for a while. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure about that. Now he goes, okay, I'm done. You can tell when I'm right, Larry. You were right on a lot. Not all. Not all. I think you're counting your chickens before they hatch. You and I just talk. We had this talk here about the golden age. And I said he went too far. That was a gamble. He shouldn't have called it a golden age. He should wait. So, yeah, I think we'll see. We'll see. That's what I'll say. And Putin's not scared of Trump. That's not a thing. Putin has no reason to be scared of Trump at all. None.
Key reason why this country has been at war, why Russia invaded this. We are far more responsible for that than Ukraine is. So, again, I want the war.
We started the war. Okay.
To end, but I cannot just sit here and brook this complete inversion of reality in which it's Ukraine's fault that they got invaded by Russia and they somehow owe us something when we're the whole reason why this war wasn't settled years ago. In that is
okay. Can you let Sagar talk again?
It's not just us; it's also the UK, which always seems to get up. Yeah, I think it was mostly us. Yes. I don't agree. That's why I think Biden is terrible. It was an awful president. But if we return to this idea, do you think we did the Marshall Plan out of the goodness of our heart, or did we do it to prop up a democratic Europe, democratic, small d, to do what? So that we could, have a nice big old marketplace over there. We don't do anything.
No, but Crystal just said it was because you care about small countries. That's what she just said. The order after World War II, Crystal just said, was because we care about the sovereignty of small countries. That's what she said.
Out of the goodness of their heart, nor should we. It's a stupid idea. That's not how countries conduct relations.
He's calling her stupid. He's saying fantasy, ridiculous.
With others. If we have now expended over $100+ billion, the United States has depleted its stockpiles and more, that we should just say, deal's done. No, if we're going to ensure your territorial integrity or do this peace deal with Russia, we're going to get something out of it.
Now, here's the bad part, the part that he's totally wrong on. What I'm bothered by, this is what I'm actually bothered by. The average American's gonna get nothing from this. We always go, we got money from this. We, meaning the average American, me and you, right? Me and you, Shelly, we ain't getting a cut out of this. We're not getting a cut. This is gonna go to the military-industrial complex. And I hate that part. I do. I get where he's going. There will be some Americans who will get some jobs out of this. That's true. So some Americans will get some jobs. It's true. There'll be some tax revenue that comes in. That's true. There'll be some. But all of that's going to get grifted away. I wish we actually could get like what Alaska does. I'm dead serious. Alaska gets a bunch of cash from their oil, and they write a check to everybody. If we could get a check from this, okay. Right, whatever. That's that concept of that. What's that? The Doge refund, whatever the thing is. The 5,000. We're not gonna get $5,000, but the concept is conceptually is for every dollar that Doge saves. I'm using air quotes. I know that Doge saves 80% goes to the debt and 20% goes back in a rebate. Now I don't know if that's a good percentage. Whatever. Who cares? The concept is a good concept, meaning if America does well, the people directly get something from it. That makes sense to me if that were possible, right? So if Ukraine's we're gonna get some great deal in Ukraine. I hope Trump gets a great deal. I hope it happens. Who knows? Again, to my point to Mike, it hasn't closed yet. We'll see. I hope Mike's right on everything. I hope he is. I'm saying right now he isn't because it hasn't closed. Let's say it closes. I'll bring him on and I'll let him gloat if he's right. I did it from the election. He called the election perfectly. I had him on, he gloated. If he's right, he can come on and gloat. But he's not right yet. We'll see. If we get a great deal, I would love it to where, okay, we get whatever, $500 billion, whatever the money, whatever we're supposed to get, right? We get it with the cash we get. And maybe we get a little stimmy check out of it that Americans get. Maybe a little debt relief, something like that. That makes sense, right? That would make sense to me. But if we don't get that, this is just more big companies making more money. And sadly, it's probably going to make things, the wealth gap even worse. So, yeah.
Whether Ukraine exists has absolutely no import to the United States whatsoever.
Now, that is harsh. However, it's true. That is harsh. That is harsh. But to be forward, if Ukraine went away tomorrow, none of us here, unless you personally have friends or family in Ukraine, if you do, obviously it matters to you if you have that. But if you don't have that, we wouldn't even notice. And I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm saying he's right. Again, hate the vibe. It doesn't feel good to talk this way. It doesn't. It doesn't make him wrong. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't make him wrong.
Only thing that if we're going to get something out of this should, of course, be to the economic benefit of the United States consumer, which, again, is the backbone of the U.S. liberal
U.S. consumer, he's right, but that's not going to happen.
world order. I know people don't like whenever I talk like this. It's the truth.
I know. I don't like it. It's bad vibes, but you are right.
All right. The other people who are telling you about democracy and, oh, NATO, it's all BS completely. What, Latvia matters so much to America? No, it's ludicrous. I mean, these countries are both in the traditional Russian sphere of influence, as you said, with the NATO encroachment on Russian borders and more. The entire idea behind it is a US and European, basically market system, which we use our military power to protect.
And this is the funny part. He's expressing that what she just said the World War II, post-World War II model that we set up. She's saying, that's a good thing. Let's go back to that. That's what's right. That's when we cared about small countries and such. Most people who are far left do not believe that. They think what he's saying, that was set up so America could dominate, America could financially colonize. It's absolutely true and accurate. They're right when they say that's true. And so that America could become the monopoly and control the world, basically. Yes, that's accurate. America could do as it wants. Correct. That's why we set it up that way. Totally true. Now, the far left says, and that's terrible, evil. Sagar says, no, that's great. I love it. That's what we should do. That's the way we do it. But both sides agree that's what happened. Crystal has all of a sudden decided, because she's desperate to grab onto something, well, if it was just a World War II thing, then we'd all care about small countries. We never did. We never did. That's not a thing. She's literally just coping. It's embarrassing.
To the benefit of our consumers, of our companies, and of the European companies as well.
Yep.
Let's all just be honest about it. And that's where I have to return to, where when we look at the way that the Ukrainians are complicit in this, is that they have wanted, sent that push for more militarism, for more war. They want to basically, take all of our stockpiles. They want to increase their war with Russia. Their plan from the very beginning is what? Is to draw the United States.
Yeah, but yes and no. And let me be clear on this. When he says Ukrainians, does the average Ukrainian think that? Not at all. That's the average Ukrainian does not think that way, does not care, does not want to do this, either loves their country if they're Ukrainian or just wants to live their life. Does not. Now, do the Ukrainian elites want that? Yes. Yes. The Ukrainian elites wanted this. That's true, because they're all grifting. That's why they can't find the whatever, 100 billion, whatever he lost. He lost billions of dollars. That's because they all grifted it. So the elites wanted it. He's correct for the elites. The average Ukrainian? Why does the average Ukrainian want this? The average Ukrainian does not want this at all. That is not true. When he goes, the Ukrainians. No. Ukrainians don't want this at all. What Ukrainians want is to either their country, those who are, not all Ukrainians care that much about Ukraine as a country. Some do, some don't. Depends where they come from, their ethnic background, all that kind of stuff. But if they are Ukrainians and they feel Ukrainian, they care about their country. Others don't. They left the country, or they'd rather go to Russia. They don't care. It's another bit of life. So I just want to be clear on that piece. That does matter.
States in. Whatever they're doing is definitely bad for American security interests. And so while, yes, I won't let Biden or Boris Johnson off the hook, the Ukrainians also are, especially the Ukrainian government, has tied itself legally to this framework where they're not allowed to have elections, even though we're protecting democracy. They're not allowed to even negotiate on any territorial integrity according to their own laws. Like, they have locked themselves in to this paradigm. And that's where they have agency, and we also can reset the paradigm of how we conduct relations between
that
states.
Part matters.
The ideal foreign policy that I would ever want is exactly this right now. We're meeting with Russia. Ukraine, you're not even there. You know why? Because it's not about you. That's the whole
But
whole
what
point.
happened to them having agency? What happened to it being their fault?
They can do whatever they want inside their country.
Sagar,
the point is that on the macro level, we will decide what's good for us.
That's my point. Is that
yes. You're explaining why he's
it's not their fault that we wanted to drag this war out for years. We were the one.
What happened to Vietnam? Whose fault was that? Korea. All those. I'm going to wrap that part up, Rand, if I can. I'm going to grab some of these comments. A bunch of comments. I'm going to grab some before we get too deep into this. Dave says, Putin's fighting the war in Ukraine down to the last North Korean and Russian ethnic minority. There's some truth to that, Dave. Most of the Russian troops are ethnic minorities. It's true. They're doing it basically because they know that they can get paid a whole lot more money. It's just, it's a cash issue, right? In most of the ethnic minorities in Russia, they live, in the hinterland, and they're making maybe $500 a month, right? That's it. They join the Russian army and go fight in Ukraine. They're making like $3,000 a month, and you might go, "Is that much?" When you're making 500, you're gonna multiply your income by 6. Is there anybody here who does not want to multiply your income by 6, or not even by the number? Just add an extra every month, $2,500 a month. By the way, if anyone gets extra $2,500 a month, become a member. You got $2,500 extra a month. It's $499. What are you doing? Don't be cheap. If you join the Russian military, and if any of you do, and you get an increase in your income of $2,500 a month, become a member. $499 per month. Click the join button on YouTube. Awesome. Or on Rumble during a live, click subscribe. Either of those. But regardless, you can still subscribe and also follow me on Facebook, X, and Rumble. That's free. You don't have to join the Russian military for that. You don't have to have your income multiplied by 6. Not required. You can just follow. You can do that. You can also share, repost this, and also click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Not just that, though. A lot of them are that. There are still some ethnic Russians doing it, but you're right. A lot of them are minorities. The North Koreans, though, this isn't because of Putin. What a lot of people don't know, I've mentioned this before, Dave, I don't know if you watched that show. A lot of these nations want to send troops into the war because they want to what's called bloody your troops. You want to have a non-commissioned officer corps that are combat veterans. The combat veterans of a non-commissioned officer corps will do several fold. They'll be amazing trainers, and there'll be amazing non-commissioned officers in the coming war. Remember, the North Koreans haven't seen war for 70 years? Is that about right? Is my math about right? About 70 years? There's no one in the North Korean military who's been to combat. They've been around. And if anyone is still alive, they're now in their 90s? So they're not active duty in the military anymore. So they're happy. I'm not making this up. They're happy to send 10,000, they'll send 10,000 North Koreans to fight in Ukraine. 3,000 die. I made it up. 2,000 get wounded. 5,000 head back. Out of the 5,000 head back, they're mandatory. So they take 2,000 of them and go back to the whatever farms, wherever they're going. And they keep 3,000 in their military. So you got 3,000 bloodied, now non-commissioned officers in your military. Then you had none. Those become the backbone of your elite forces. Those become the backbone of your training groups. And now you have a better army. And America knows that. South Korea knows that. South Korea has no one who's been in combat in 70 years. So North Korea just got a better army, literally overnight. Well, overnight, as countries go. But that's why they want to do it. I'm surprised the Iranians have not sent units to fight. If I was them, I would have, because you just got your military decimated. You just got embarrassed in Syria, in Lebanon. You need some change. Send your boys to Ukraine. Get yourself a new military. That's what I would do if I was Iranian. I would have sent 10,000 troops to Ukraine in a heartbeat. Wouldn't thought twice. How many you need? There's like 80 million. Is it 80, 90 million Iranians? You could send 10,000. I wouldn't think twice. So I think your point's valid, but maybe not for those reasons, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if it's the same. So yes. Rick says, Crystal has always had the sanctimonious, supercilious, I love big words, aura. Yes, that's true. But you can have that aura and say things that make sense and that are clear, or you can just have that aura and virtue signal all day. She has become just a virtue signaler. That's the issue. A whole lot of that. Mastermind now, thanks for becoming a member. This crystal ball is starting to show some cracks. We got some jokes. We got some crystal ball jokes. Yes, absolutely. And it is showing some cracks. You're right. Yes. Minor Threat says, just listen to Jeff Sachs at EU recently. He spells it out very clearly. Okay, I'll check that one out. Gene is in the house. Bruce Gott, Larry, I liked and shared. Here's my first comment. Look at that. We are winning. Yes. Andrea says the obvious, which I agree. I said it. We all say it. We have had decades for the establishment to grift. Okay. When were they going to fix this? I'll give the answer. Never. They were never going to fix this. Yes. They were never going to fix this. 100%. So, and hopefully one day, maybe they will. We'll see if they will. We will see if they will. All righty. Let's see if I get that. Mastermind says, Larry, if I get 10 mil, you're getting that seat. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. I hope you get 10 million. I hope you all get 10 million. Again, I'm not mad at anybody for making money. Make money. I think money's great. I hope you all make as much money as you need. I hope you make I hope you do. That'd be amazing. Yes. K. John says, if I get 10 million, I'm making my own line of Sharpe merch. All proceeds go to Larry's next run. I want to take a percentage. Well, look at that. I love that. That's amazing. That's great. Andrea goes on to say, again, thank you for being a member, Andrea. Dem voters should be angry that their politicians are doing nothing, just like Republican voters did, and now Trump is in and getting S done. And you are exactly on the money here. Democratic voters should be angry on how their party failed them. And many of them are, but their anger isn't coming out in, okay, how do we fix this? With the exception of like with the exception of the James Carvilles. James Carville is saying, we got to fix this. I think Mark Cuban was saying some stuff like this. If I remember right, I think Mark Cuban was like on some show saying how Democrats got to get their act together. They're screwing up, right? That's what you should be doing. You should be looking at yourself and going, what'd you do wrong? The funny part is, Andrea, I try my best to practice what I preach. And when I ran in 2018, I got blindsided by many things that I was just not ready for. Like I just did not know how these things worked. And I learned. So my campaign was very long in 2018. I actually started it in July of 2017. So I actually did about a 17-month campaign, a long campaign. And my campaign wasn't really rocking and rolling till like 3 months to the end. It took me that long to figure out how to really trial and error. And Missy was with me. She knows it was challenging how to do X, Y, and Z. A lot of people, had to come and go. We mixed and matched. And we finally figured out, and by the last 3 months, maybe 4 months, we were finally rocking and rolling. How do I know that? The Republicans who were running against me had to throw an extra $1 million into their candidate just to ensure that I was crushed. That's when the press came after me, which I didn't know why or how. I'd never seen it before, Andrew. I didn't know they could just make stuff up and just make stuff up. And they just made stuff up in press. I didn't know how they could use polling and buy polls to attack. I didn't know how that worked. I had no idea how that worked until I got smacked with it, right? Get smacked with that stuff, you learn some lessons. And I did. So then I went in 2022 and I prepared all that. I was ready for all that stuff. And the Republicans were like, oh, you're ready for this though. And they threw me into court. And I was not prepared for that. I was not ready for the new rules, the new court and everything. And it ripped me to pieces. And that's why I got my ass kicked in 2022. I didn't just go system bad. I did say that, but I also tried to look at myself and fix what I could fix. And I also took responsibility for my loss and my debts. I had to pay them all off. I was heavily in debt both times. I had to pay them all off. Luckily, the first one, it was easy for me to pay off. The second time was harder for me to pay off. But I spent my time doing that. I took responsibility for it. Democrats should be doing that too. They should be saying, we screwed up. We didn't get stuff done. We ran crappy campaigns. Our system's broken. Let's fix it. They're not. Republicans didn't do it. You're right. They didn't do it. And then Trump came in and said, I'm just going to break stuff. And now we're breaking stuff. True. What you're saying is exactly correct. You are exactly correct. Yes. Michael says, it reminds me of the Aykroyd and oh, yes, I remember Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin, right? From the 70s, SNL. Jane, you ignorant. Yes, I don't want to say that word. I'll get in trouble. But yes, that's what he used to say. Yes, it's very funny. It does kind of have that kind of vibe, doesn't it? Yeah. John says, Larry, Trump can say crazy stuff. Let me try one. How about we give Ukraine to Russia and the Russians help us attack China? We'll get India in there somehow too. What do you think? I would like to not start a new war. So I would the attack part, I don't like at all. Yeah. So now, if you could say that, and then that would cause peace and a break between China and Russia, and bring us closer to India, okay. So if you're saying that to negotiate effectively, I'm in. I hope you don't want to actually start the war. That's all I'm hoping. John, by the way, thank you for the 499 also. I do appreciate that. Again, guys, thank you so much for the help. Every bit does count. Thank you so much. Yes. So, yes. All right. Mike goes on to say, Mike, you busy tonight. France has spent 2 years trying to convince the U.S. to put troops in Ukraine for France. No one cares what Macron wants. He has no spine unless he borrows them. Valid. It's a valid criticism of Macron, but he's still trying to be tough guy. He is. I agree. French have gotten their butt kicked recently. You notice, Mike. West Africa, the French have gotten their butt kicked. If you go back 3-4 years, maybe 5, the French still had a good contingent, a good control economically, physically over Western Africa. Not anymore. They hit the butt kicked. They're like in 2 countries now. They're like in Ivory Coast. I think 1 more. That's it. They've been booted. I completely agree. Yes. So, all righty. Daniel says, rhinos are currently winning the budget bills. I have not been paying attention. I have to look at that. Check this out. I am looking over at Instagram. Lewis says, how do you do as a libertarian reconcile Trump's policies on trade restrictions, government spending, and executive authority with the principles of limited government and free markets? Do I have to reconcile them, Lewis? I don't think I have to. He's not a libertarian. Do I have to? I'm not sure I have to. I don't like them. I've never been a fan of tariffs. I've said so openly. I don't know. Do you guys think I'm a Trump supporter? I don't know. I don't know where you got that from, those. I give Trump credit where credit is due. When I'm scared, I tell you I'm scared. He's doing much. He's making change, which is true. He's doing far more and is far better than Harris would have done. That's true. Doesn't make me all of a sudden I'm not all of a sudden a Trumpster. That's not true. I think some people who are Trumpsters get mad at me. They're like, why do you not trust him on this, Trump him on that, blah, blah, blah. I don't reconcile that. I'm not a Republican. I'm a libertarian. I'm not a Republican. So I don't know. I don't have to reconcile that. It's not an issue. If I had Harris here and she was doing something good, it's hard for me to imagine, but if she was, I would do the same thing. I'd be doing the same thing. How do I know? I did it when Biden was here. Same thing. I didn't change. When they're doing something good, I give credit when AOC does something good. I give credit when Democrats, when they do something good, I give credit. You guys see me do it. Some of you get mad at me, but I do it. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Lois. I don't need to reconcile it. It's not a thing. I give them credit where credit is due. When I'm scared, I say I'm scared. When I'm worried, I say I'm worried. But I don't like, I say I don't like. But to be forward, I am far more satisfied than I thought I would be with him. I really thought he'd be worse. I did not trust him. I thought he would be worse. So he's not a libertarian, but when I look at what he's doing, he is at least making change and breaking things. And I'm not mad at that. That's what I'll say. I'm not mad at that. I hope that answers your question. I'm not trying to blow you off. I'm just trying to be forward with you. And I think the audience knows that's how I feel. I've been very forward about it. Very forward about it. So, yes. All righty. All right. Let's see if I could grab some more of these comments if I could. Kim says, thank you for being a member, Kim. War is evil. If we get anything from it, then we are also evil. Ooh. But what if the war is to stop evil? Does that still work, Kim? Right? So what if we're being invaded? I'm making it up. We're not, but in theory, right? We're being invaded by the Chinese. I mean, it's not going to happen, but whatever, we are. And we fight a war against them. We beat them. And we get reparations from them because they bombed us. Is that war still evil? And if we got something from it? What about the war, our revolution? If we got freedom from that, is that, I don't know. It seems too broad, right? It seems too broad is what I think, Kim. That's my view. I think that's a bit broad. That's what I would say. So, all righty. Frank, how about you? says, oh, come on, Larry. You know Americans want to spend $2 million for sex change in Guatemala. Well, to be forward, Frank, there are some Americans who do want to spend that, but the vast majority do not. But there are some. There are some. So, yeah, but no. Yeah. So, anyway, let's see. Minor Threat says, because Russia doesn't need them. I think you mean the ethnic minorities. I'm not sure about that either. Russia does use a lot of ethnic minorities for work. So I think they do need them. A lot of manual labor is done by ethnic minorities. So I think their economy, I should say, does need them. I think that's true. I think they will. So yes. Jordan Lott says, President Larry will fix this. President Larry 2020. Thank you, my friend. Maybe one day we will see. Right? Maybe one day we will see. I'm open to the idea. Maybe one day we'll see. Yes. John says, let me try a different way. Is there a scenario where Ukraine and Russia combine and we benefit? Russia and Ukraine combine and we benefit. That is a tough one. I can't think of a way for that to work. How could they combine? Okay. Yes, there's one way. It is a massive stretch. I mean, it's a big stretch. If Russia were to create some type of former Soviet trading bloc, and it included all the rare earth minerals in the entire former Soviet Union, and they gave America preferential trade status in that union, that would be the only way. I don't see them creating that bloc. I don't see them, if they created it, giving us special treatment. So I think the answer is probably no. But you said, your question was, is there any scenario? That's the scenario, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. So, yeah. I'm looking over at Rumble. Sheridan says, the budget proposals from Congress don't include a stimmy check. What? Trump loves stimmy checks. That's got to change. It's got to change. Yeah. Joel over on Rumble says, as politicians like Schumer rail on about Trump, they sound like they're defending waste, fraud, and abuse of the system, business usual. Because they are, Joel. You are correct. They sound like they're defending the system because they are. That is an accurate statement. Yes, absolutely true. So, Phil says, Larry Sharpe making better Democrats and better Republicans since 2014. True. And the thing to remember is, if you have a third party, right? A third party can keep the others in check. When Democrats say Trump is bad, no one listens. When Republicans say Democrats are bad, no one listens. When a third party says it, people pay attention a whole lot more. So yes, absolutely. Mike says, I guarantee Larry's not a Trump supporter. I've tried to convince him. He fights me. Accurate. That's true. Yes. Mastermind Howard says, Trump 2025. At least he's doing stuff. You're not wrong. He is. It's true. He's doing stuff. Stuff is happening. You're not wrong. Yes. Andrea says, again, thank you for being a member, guys. I never thought you were a Trump supporter. I see you as being realistic about everything Trump is doing, good and bad. I try to. Yes, I try to. Grace says, I think you appreciate what he's doing, but like you said, he should have used a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. I think that's how you put it. You're a solid libertarian, in my humble opinion. Oh, thank you so much. Yes. Yes, and again, my point being here, I can acknowledge that the way he's doing it, I wouldn't do. I can acknowledge that. I can acknowledge that I might think there's an other or better way. I can acknowledge that too. At the same time, I can realize without him, nothing's getting done. I wish that wasn't true, and I can be mad at that or upset about it or not like his vibe. I can do all that stuff, and people don't like his vibe. I get it. It doesn't make him wrong. It just means he's got a vibe people don't like. And I get it. And I don't mind saying it. I say it. So yeah. Mastermind goes on to say, evil is too broad of a concept as well. Ooh, interesting. Kim, did you respond to that? Oh, yes. Kim did respond. We pay other countries to kill each other so we can sell them ammo and weapons. Pure evil. Good point. I think that point is true. If you to say that Yes. Your earlier statement, though, was very broad. It was that war is evil, and if you get something from war, you're evil. I feel like that was too broad, I guess is what I'm saying. This statement is far clearer to me, right? Just to me. I think it's far clearer. Yeah. I think it is far clearer. I like that one a whole lot better. Yeah. There we go. All righty. John goes on to say, no soundbites allowed. Oh, it's for you, no soundbites. It's for you, Mike. Can we give you credit to Germany? Would that help? The funny part is many people don't know Ukraine and Germany actually are very close, meaning like they get along. They actually get along. It's true. They actually do get along. People don't always know that. So yeah. Shelly says, anyone see Malay give Musk a chainsaw? It was hysterical. Not sure if I spelled the name correctly. It was. I do like that one. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Grace want to say, if only the LP will listen to you, Larry, you could seriously make them a viable third party. You can carry on what Ron Paul did if they would actually give your plans a chance. True, but I don't think they'll do it. Maybe. We'll see. Look, I got to decide if I want to make a run coming up here for governor in 2026, right? If I do that, maybe I'll make enough impact that the Libertarian Party nationally might listen to me. It's possible. I mean, maybe not. I'm not sure. We'll find out either way. Guys, I'm going to ask you if you could to click the button known as like. It does matter. I know I ask you. Please do it. Also, please share and repost this if at all possible in a Facebook group or whatever the case may be. Make sure that you are subscribed to me on YouTube or follow me on Facebook, X, and Rumble. And make sure when you do it, you click all notifications. You get notified on Facebook. You get notified on YouTube, whatever the case may be. Any super chats are appreciated and go right to the front. You can also rant me on Rumble. You can become a member if you want to. Click that join button. Remember, if you get $10 million, you have to become a member. Also, if you get an extra $2,500 a month, if either of those two things happen, or you join the Russian military, if any of those three things happen, you have to become a member. Click the join button on YouTube, become a member. Click the subscribe button on Rumble during the live only. I don't know why they do it, but that's why they do it. So make sure you do that, and that will make things happen. So, yes. All right. I hope that was clear. I will be on again. Tomorrow. Try at 7 if I can. I might go 7:30. I'll be on tomorrow. I might do a Wednesdays with Kathy. I might not. We'll see what happens in the news cycle. We'll see if we can do that. I will also be on Thursday, and Thursday I'll do an AMA. Remember, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I am traveling. I am in New York State. If you want to see where I'm going and you live in New York and you want to come see me, come to one of my events. You can look on Twitter, Facebook. If you're a member, I clicked it in the membership tab on YouTube. Just check it out. I give you all the dates. They're right there. Please just come on out if you can. Love to have you. The events are free. I ask only one thing. Buy something from the local place. That's all I ask. If you're in a good financial spot, buy a meal. In fact, not just that, hang out, bring a friend and buy a meal for your friend if you're in a good financial spot. If you're not in a good financial spot, show up and buy a cup of coffee. Whatever. Wherever you are, come, show up if you can. 6 different spots, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, all across New York State. If you can coming up, love to see you. In any case, here's what I'm going to ask you. What small country do you have an affinity for? Chris was about small countries. What small country do you have an affinity for? I will see you all tomorrow. I'll see you all very soon.